Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you for joining me, Jennifer, at Digestive Detectives for 3 simple shifts that will last a lifetime. This is going to give you more energy, increased sleep, and better digestion, best of all. So you are what you eat, digest, and absorb. So if you're not taking the time to slow down and relax and rest and digest, you're not going to be all that money and energy you put into those healthy foods, you're not going to be absorbing it. Okay, so first of all, I want to let you know that I can totally relate to any health issues you guys may be having out there. From an early age, I've been dealing with rheumatoid arthritis and seizures as well. So when I was 13 and I had such bad seizures, I went on the ketogenic diet and I was overweight at that time. So I lost a bunch of weight through the ketogenic diet as a byproduct of that. And then in 2006, what really got me into nutrition is I was on a medication that lowered my immune system so much, I ended up having sepsis and pneumonia, and I had a 107-degree fever, and the doctor said that I wouldn't probably not make it through the night. So that made me realize that my nutrition and my health was in my hands, and I started reading, and I discovered that I love nutrition with a passion, and it's so cool, and I just want to share all my knowledge with everybody that I come across so I can help you guys live the best life ever every day. And that's what I'm here for today, to share some 3 basic steps to help you have more energy, better digestion, and better sleep. And forgive me, there we go, getting the slides to work. Okay, so we're going to talk about water and salt, the right kind at the right time, snacks and energy, choosing the healthiest and tastiest snacks to avoid energy slumps, and the timing of meals, rest and digest. People don't think about that, and it's very important to eat at the right time. Okay, so this awesome little infographic that I got from Dr. Mercola, I love it, talks about toxic chemicals. We think about chlorine and fluoride in our water, but we don't often think about heavy metals, pesticides, benzene, hexavalent chromium-6. That's kind of disturbing, but those are in your tap water. But there's also beneficial minerals in your tap water. So I myself, I used to drink distilled water thinking that I was doing a good thing. But the thing is, distilled water is simply H2O, nothing other than that. So we need to have some minerals in our water, and I'm going to be telling you some awesome ways to add minerals back into your water in the next slide. But first of all, I want to get back on water quality. So most of us are dehydrated. When I have clients come to me and they tell me that, yeah, I drink 4 glasses of water a day, inside I'm cringing because I'm like, oh my, you're absolutely dehydrated. And then they tell me, well, I drink 2 cups of coffee, so that's some water. And I'm like, well, the problem is coffee rather, is going to make you pee even more, so you're actually losing water. So water is necessary for all bodily functions. You want to drink half of your body weight in ounces every day. For example, if you weigh 140 pounds, you want to drink a minimum of 70 ounces of water per day. Now, quality matters. So a lot of people on their nutrition intake form they give me, it will be, I drink 4 glasses or 4 bottles of water every day. And well, if bottled water is all that you have on you at the time, that's what I would drink over just tap water. But the thing is, bottled waters, we don't think about the fact that it has a history. We don't know if it was setting in a hot semi-truck and out in the sun, and that heated that water and that plastic up, and it leached BPA, bisphenol A, into it, or how long that water's been sitting in that bottle. So that's like a last-ditch effort at water quality. We want to really, and it's much more economical to filter our water. Buy a good quality filter, and if you want to reach out to me, I have so many excellent filters, anything from $20 to $200 and everything in between that I recommend. So here's a disturbing fact. The #1 toxin in your water supply is toilet paper. That is so gross, isn't it? So the thing is, paper breaks down, and it breaks down into nanoparticles, and that does get recycled back into our water supply, and that's what we are drinking when we drink unfiltered tap water. And number two is pharmaceutical drugs that are in our urine. So people might say they dump a bunch of pills down the toilet to get rid of their medicine or something. That's not how we're getting the pharmaceutical drugs. It's because when we urinate, we aren't processing all pharmaceuticals. Some of them just come out in our urine. And so when our neighbors, everybody else in the world flushes their toilet, those pharmaceuticals are getting into the water supply. So you absolutely want to filter your water. I myself use something called a zero water filter pitcher. It's nice and economical. In the past, I've used something called a Berkey, which is up on your counter. It's a nice little system, but just whatever works for you, as long as you're at least filtering it. You want to make your water similar to the water in your body. You know, like when you're in a hospital, they are putting an IV of just like a saline solution into you to keep you hydrated. Well, that's a salty water. So when you add sea salt to water, that is going to make it more like the water in your own body, more like a saline type solution. And that is what's most hydrating. So adding a pinch of sea salt to your water is pretty darn easy, isn't it, to make you much more hydrated. So some facts about sea salt though. It gives you 80 minerals. Sea salt, different. It doesn't have to be just sea salt though. Himalayan salt is an excellent salt as well. Anytime you see colors in salt, like the pink Himalayan salt, the gray, bluish Celtic sea salt is another great one. Those are nutrients right there. So you want to add that because where minerals go, water goes. And when you add a pinch of sea salt to your water, that water is just following those minerals into your cells and you're becoming much more hydrated. So increased insulin and hormone sensitivity. How about that? So many people out there are either they have metabolic syndrome, pre-diabetic, or they're already far into type 2 diabetes. How about just adding a pinch of sea salt to your water to make those cells more sensitive to the sugar, the insulin that is out in your body? And you see, insulin is a hormone, so that actually makes you much more sensitive to all your hormones. So overall hormone health, that's awesome. So healthier gut. So many things happen in the gut. I think even some people say 90%. I'm going to say 80% of your immune system is located in your gut, but you got to have a healthy gut. So one thing I learned in anatomy and physiology is how important water and hydration are to all bodily functions, but especially your gut. So having a healthy gut is going to give you increased serotonin production. And why is serotonin important? So 80% of your serotonin is produced in your gut. How cool is that? And serotonin is the happy hormone. It's what makes you happy. So if you're kind of down and depressed all the time, or you have anxiety, especially unexplained anxiety, there's a decent chance that your gut is not very healthy. And adding some sea salt to your water will give you more hydration, will give you a better serotonin production, will make you happier. In addition, weight loss, cellulite reduction. When you are hydrated, you are naturally going to lose weight and maintain your weight as you should. Like I said, water is so important to all bodily functions. It's incredibly amazing. Increased bowel movements. When people come to me and they say, oh, my bowel movements are fine. I use the bathroom every 3 days. I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't even know how toxic that is, because when your stool sits in your colon for longer than even just 1 day, you start to reabsorb the water in that, and the water within that stool has toxins in it. That's everything that your body doesn't need is in the stool. And then you start reabsorbing that. And some people, they don't even use the restroom more than every 3 weeks. And drink some more water, and you'll find that you'll go to the bathroom much more often. Have a great big tall glass of water in the morning. Improved liver function. So one thing we don't know about liver function is it's so important for our B vitamins, all of our micronutrients, which are vitamins and minerals, but especially our B vitamins. we have different pathways throughout our liver that serve different nutrient functions, and adding salt to your water will help that again. Increased oxygenation of cells. So you have more energy when you have more oxygen to your cells. A more alkaline body. We all hear about things like alkaline water. You want to have alkaline blood. You want to have an acidic stomach. But if you have enough hydrating water in your system, you are going to naturally have a more alkaline body. And one thing you don't want to have is alkaline water. That's something for another webinar on another day. But if you see alkaline water out there, that's not always a good thing. Okay, hydrate cells at a deeper level. Again, where minerals go, water goes. So, for snacking, energy and blood sugar. Breakfast is an option. Many people skip breakfast, but my problem with that is then when they go have lunch, they have a poor quality lunch. They have a muffin, or they have a sandwich with processed meat on it. If you're going to skip breakfast, make sure you either, number one, include some healthy fats in your breakfast, maybe with your supplements, to give you some energy, or have a healthy breakfast such as an apple with some almond butter, or a handful of nuts or seeds, or even something like oatmeal with some coconut oil in it and walnuts is a great breakfast. But the thing is some people who are trying to lose weight want to do intermittent fasting, and that's fine. Intermittent fasting is a really cool way to get your body naturally into a fat-burning state. And the best part of it is it's going to give your body, ideally we want to go 16 hours without eating. So if you cut off eating at 8 p.m. and then you start eating again at 12 the next day, I guess that math hopefully is correct, you've given yourself a nice rest on your digestive system. And your body's repairing all the time, so you want to be able to, it takes a lot of energy to digest food, for sure. So you want to give it a chance to rest. But intermittent fasting is something you can do. You can add in something called bulletproof coffee, or you can make it in a tea, and I'll get to that on the next slide. But as long as you put some energy in there via healthy fats, you can do intermittent fasting. I don't recommend it for anyone that's underweight, or if they're malnourished, if they have poor absorption in their GI tract and need to heal that first. I don't recommend it for children, or not necessarily older people who are having problems getting enough food. Problem with not having breakfast or having the wrong breakfast is blood sugar issues, because when you starve yourself, cortisol goes up. That's the stress hormone. So increased cortisol is going to give you issues with insulin. Those two go hand in hand. There's something called the vasoconstrictive cascade, which is really cool. If you look at that image down below, vasoconstriction and normal blood flow, that's exactly what's going on in your body when you're in a state of stress, or when you've eaten a high sugar meal. So blood sugar causes insulin to spike. If you have high insulin, it constricts your blood vessels. Does that decrease or increase oxygen to your cells? If your blood vessels are constricted, it decreases the oxygen to your cells. So if you have a high sugar breakfast, such as a soda, orange juice, muffin, bagel, apple juice, whatever is what you think of a healthy breakfast, if you have a high sugar breakfast, it will decrease the oxygen and blood flow to your cells. And that's not what you want. You want to have more oxygen and blood flow to your cells. So by choosing the right foods at the right time, you can have sustained energy throughout your day. How's that sound? Pretty cool. Okay, so that's kind of the scientific level of things. So what are some good and tasty snacks? First of all, we want to look at the glycemic load. There's the glycemic index and the glycemic load, two different terms that are similar in meaning, but we've lately realized that glycemic load is the better of the two terms as an overall reference. So glycemic load is a number that estimates how much the food will raise a person's blood glucose level after eating. This has to do with a lot to do with the fiber in a foods in conjunction with the type of carbohydrates. So if you see on that little chart there, if you notice that green line, it does not go very high, nor does it drop very much at all. It gives you sustained energy because those are carbs that take a longer amount of time to digest. It gives you a nice, steady energy. But you see that higher one, it brings your blood sugar way up, gives you a lot of energy for about 45 minutes to an hour, and then it drops. So when you eat a high sugar meal and then you're tired an hour later, that's what's going on there. So if you have a breakfast and then 3 hours later, it's not time for lunch yet, but you want a little something to sustain you, have an apple with some almond butter. There's peanut butter. I love peanut butter, but if you don't get organic peanut butter, you're asking for trouble there. So there's almond butter is so high in protein and it's delicious. Bulletproof coffee. If you're a coffee drinker, I myself was a late bloomer on coffee, but I do drink coffee now, and there's something called bulletproof coffee that I'm not talking about the brand, I'm talking about the recipe. If you check that out on my blog, it's a delicious drink that incorporates healthy fats. So those healthy fats are going to help you get into a fat burning state. It's going to give you tons of brain fuel. It's going to keep you energized. Hummus and veggies. So hummus is a great plant-based protein source, and the veggies have those phytochemicals. Those are the plant nutrients. Anytime you see colors, that's why berries are so good for you. When you see colors in foods, those are the phytochemicals. Nuts and seeds, just a handful of plain nuts and seeds, or you can make your own granola mix. Just a handful of those have good fats and proteins, will hold you over for a while. I myself recommend all my clients have a smoothie every day, and I honestly, that's not my snack, that's my lunch every day. I just vary it up. A smoothie is a great way to get stuff that is so good for you, and maybe even stuff you don't care for. Like I myself, I hate celery and I hate kale unless it's prepared a certain way. You put it in your smoothie, I don't even know it's there. So that's my little secret. I don't like kale, but I like it in my smoothie. So if you go to my website, look up the blog Smoothies 101, you will find 3, 2, 1. 3 cups of greens, 2 cups of fruit, 1 cup of liquid, and then you can get creative and add all kinds of awesome stuff to it. I'm totally a dork on smoothies. If you read that blog post, you'll know what I mean, but you can add all kinds of herbs, plant foods, any kind of crazy stuff you got growing around your house. Go out in your backyard and get you some dandelion greens or add in some turmeric. Okay, so glycemic index, that's the other term I was telling you. On this, we work from the bottom up. We're looking at hummus, chickpeas, these herbs here, garlic, onion, a lot of stuff down there, so low in glycemic load, a glycemic spike in your blood sugar. I'll tell you what, mushrooms on there, you'd be amazed when you add things like mushrooms into your salads, how much that knocks the nutrient content way up. Next up, lentils, grapefruit, cherry, apricot, dark chocolate. How good does it get? Chocolate is good for you and it is low in sugar, but it's important to get 70% at least. Higher the better. I do no less than 72% myself. Next up, you're starting to get into the higher sugar range, but still not bad. Oatmeal, beans, and unsweetened yogurt, something like that. And then you get up, now it's top, I love watermelon, it's great for you, but it is high in fructose, very high in fructose, so you want to watch out on some of these things. Okay, timing. Timing is everything. Now, when I go out to a restaurant, which is not very often because I don't have control of my foods there, I see people drinking, like my fiance orders a great big tall glass of tomato juice when we go out, or I see people drinking a big glass of tea or their coffee. Well, the problem there is you're diluting those digestive juices, also known as hydrochloric acid. You're diluting those when you're drinking a lot with your meals. So most of us don't even have enough hydrochloric acid as it is. So we want to keep those as concentrated as we can. And the way we do that is to stop drinking liquids 10 minutes before your meal. And if you can afford a digestive enzyme as a supplement, those are like insurance that you're absorbing your nutrients. It's just like a little extra something to help you out there. inexpensive too. So 10 minutes before a meal, I take my digestive enzyme and I cut my water off at that. And then you want to wait ideally an hour until you start drinking a lot more water again. You want to give that time, because as your stomach is churning and mixing that up with the hydrochloric acid, it doesn't need water in there to dilute it. And a lot of people come to me and they have GERDs, gastroesophageal reflux disease, and it might just be that they've just diluted their digestive juices so much that they're causing themselves to have indigestion or heartburn. Relax, rest, and digest. I'll be having another webinar on this in the future for deep breathing, but if you look at my little visual there, you'll notice that that tiger is chasing that guy. But yeah, sure, he's really chasing him. But in our heads, stress is the same thing. Our brain does not know the difference between fleeing from the tiger and worrying about if we've got everything on our to-do list done. So we've got to just take a few minutes, take 3 deep breaths, gather ourselves, look at how beautiful your food is on your plate, calm down, because when we're in a state of fight or flight, our blood is out to our limbs to flee that tiger. When we're in a state of rest and digest, it goes to our core, it goes to our GI tract, so we're really absorbing those nutrients. Lastly, sleep, rest, and repair. So when it comes to dinner, we want to stop eating no later than 3 to 4 hours before bed. And that may seem hard, but if you just plan it out and ideally make your last meal an easier to digest one, if you eat a big piece of steak before bed and then you go to bed, your body's not going to be repairing and restoring. It's going to be digesting for at least 4 hours. So while we're asleep, our body releases something called human growth hormone. And that is what sleep is for, is to repair and restore and just rejuvenate. As well, when we're asleep, we're doing something cool called sleep learning. So our brain has to sort through everything we took in the day before. And we're learning permanently or not permanently remembering the things we did the day before. So if you read a good book and you want to remember that chapter, you want to get a good night's sleep. Okay, my favorite word of all time is homeostasis. It's so cool. I'm just going to read off the scientific definition for you to make sure I get it right. But it has, if you look at the image, you see it has a lot to do with water intake and blood sugar. And you need to know that your body must be in a state of homeostasis all of the time for you to be alive and function. And your body will go in and take things like calcium from your bones and pull that out. It will break down glycogen so you can have enough blood sugar. Your body will do whatever it needs to maintain a state of homeostasis. But the technical definition for that is the state of steady internal conditions maintained by living things. This dynamic state of equilibrium is the condition of optimal functioning for the organism and includes many variables, such as body temperature and fluid balance, being kept with certain preset limits, the homeostatic range. Proper hydration, blood sugar, and rest are the 3 basic functions that are necessary for homeostasis to occur. So that's just the state of well-being to where you are in a healthy state as your body sees it. Doesn't mean you really are, because like I said, it'll pull minerals from your bones if needed. So that's a new word you can go impress your friends with, homeostasis. Okay, so what to do now? Take action. If there's one thing I ask of you is to go out and do this stuff now. Don't just listen and log it away and say you learned something new. I offer free 20-minute consultations, free digestion session. You go to my website and you can click on schedule a consultation. We'll set new goals for you. We'll find out how we can optimize your health even more. Go out and buy the hot quality sea salts you can find. My favorite places to buy this are Costco and Sam's. That's one of my secrets is how do I eat healthy on a budget? Costco. That's how. I offer grocery store tours at that place just to help people out there. Go grocery shopping for healthy and tasty, low glycemic load snacks. Just make you a little grocery list, Google glycemic load, see what foods taste good to you, and see if you don't notice a more sustained energy. if you notice, a happier sense because you're not getting that cortisol up. Lastly, stop eating 4 hours before bed. You can do this, you just have to plan for it. It doesn't always happen. It doesn't always happen for me. That doesn't mean I don't eat dinner, but if I try, I'm able to. And make an appointment with your nutrition therapist. And why a nutrition therapist versus a registered dietitian? I think they're both great, but registered dietitians are more going to be focusing on meal planning and teaching you how to eat, whereas nutrition therapists, taking a whole person approach, looking at breathing, looking at sleep, looking at exercise, looking at alternative supplements. Like, for example, when I need to heal somebody's gut, not only do I put bone broth in their smoothie, I'll put aloe vera from my fresh aloe vera plant in it. Kind of far out there stuff that we don't all hear about, but that's why you want to work with a nutrition therapist, and you're worth it. So if there's one thing you can do today, is to take one small action, is to make an appointment with me and reach out and let me help you. So I want to thank you for being here today. If you go to my website, you can see testimonials of people who have been helped by something as simple as increasing their water consumption or balancing their fat intake. So thank you very much, and I'm going to see if I can take if there are any questions. If you have any questions now, we have a few minutes left before I'll have to shut it down and it stops recording.
I had a question.
Yes.
About did you say don't drink 10 minutes before your meal and then don't drink an hour after you've eaten?
Yes. Stop 10 minutes before your meal and then wait up until an hour after to give it plenty of time to clear your stomach.
Okay. Because I had heard that a while back, and then I looked up online and I thought I had seen where they were saying that there weren't any studies that supported that. But anyway, I can tell a difference because I had been doing it for a while, and then
right.
when I read online, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just agreeing with you, right.
So that is true, then you shouldn't drink before and after.
Yeah, and really, there might not have been studies done, but if you just think about it, it's like if you've got, your food condensed in your stomach and you don't want to have a bunch of water added to it. That's why, now, like during a meal, I ask, when I'm out eating, I ask the waitress, yeah, bring me a water just so I can, have a little something, just a little couple sips, literally. That's why my glass is still always full. But, it's permissible to drink a little tiny bit, but you don't want to, down your meal with a big glass of tea or something.
Okay. Well, that's good to know then. Okay. That was really good. If I wanted to do a 20-minute consult with you, do I do that through your website?
Yeah, you just go to that link there. If you go under, let's see, I'm not positive. It's the one beside events, and it will drop down and it will say schedule a consultation, or you can just copy and paste what's up there on the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Yeah, and just whatever time works for you, and we'll plan some goals, plan some more. I have more advanced stuff that I like to tell people. I don't like to give people too many things at a time because I've learned the hard way that that's about the worst thing you can do is give people I'd love to plug my brain into everybody else's and just download it to you. But that has been such a bad thing to do in the past that I stopped doing that.
Yeah. Well, I've tried to make some changes in my diet, but I still feel like I don't have a lot of energy. And I think the rest part is like I can go to sleep, but I'm not getting my deep sleep, which is what I need.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you another thing for sleep that might help you that I use whenever, like, if it's too loud in the house or I need to just kind of zone out from anything else that's making noise, like I have a noisy neighbor. I bought some things called sleep phones that you can plug into. You can plug it into your phone. Now, I'm not a fan of keeping your phone right beside your head, so I only use them to go to sleep, and then when I wake up a little later, I set them off to the side. But they just wrap around your head, and you can download different apps onto your phone, and it uses noises that get your brain into, like, I mean, there's tons of apps out there. If you look up sleep sounds, you'll find so much stuff, and it really helps.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that was good.
Okay, great. Great, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And like I said, this will be posted on my website in the near future. I just got to kind of figure out more about Zoom.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Well, you have an awesome rest of your day, and thank you guys for joining me.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.